Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker of the Knesset, Amir Ohana, esteemed Prime Minister of the State of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, respected leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, distinguished member of the Knesset, ladies and gentlemen, this is no ordinary occasion to me. Quite the contrary. This is a day that is filled with profound political, emotional, and spiritual meaning, as I stand before you as the first Paraguayan president to address this great assembly. I'm deeply honored and humbled by this most unique privilege that you have so generously bestowed upon me. Today, I'm speaking before the representative of our most extraordinary people. No nation, no culture, no religious heritage has shaped and influenced Western civilization as profoundly as the Jewish people. For more than 4,000 years, this nation has built, generation after generation, the most enduring and meaningful ideas of our civilization. These contributions have helped preserve humanity, particularly through the profound moral and philosophical principles that continue to guide us. So let me begin by saying the simplest, yet at the same time, most powerful words that any human being can say. Thank you. Thank you, dear member of the Knesset, for this mark of distinction. Thank you to the State of Israel for your friendship with Paraguay. And above all, thank you to the great Israeli people for receiving us, your Paraguayan brothers, with so much warmth and hospitality. But this occasion is not only deeply significant for me personally, it is also powerful, symbolic of the enduring and historic friendship between the people of the great nations of Paraguay and Israel. As such, today is a day that crystallizes the indestructible bond that unites Paraguay and Israel, a bond that is built not upon mere political convenience or expediency, but upon our shared commitment to principles that transcend space and time. Principles like peace, justice, and the sovereignty of nations. But above all, the principles of solidarity and true brotherhood. Indeed, Paraguay has been one of the countries that has most vigorously stood beside Israel after the criminal, wicked, and coward attacks of October the 7th. This atrocious act that claimed the life of over 1,400 innocent people, including individuals from more than 20 countries, was not only an assault on Israel, but on humanity itself. In the name of David Schwarzman, an Israeli-Paraguayan who was killed that day, I extend my deepest condolence to all of the families of the victims. Our hearts and prayers are with you. Today, I also remember the innocent men, women, and children who remain in captivity, held criminally hostage by Hamas. Their suffering is a lacerating wound for the whole world. I call for the immediate release and reaffirm Paraguay's unwavering support for Israel in these dark hours. Dear friends, I stand before you today to say to this victim that we don't forget them, that we come to honor those who were taken from us by the miserable hands full of hatred and violence. To these criminals, we come here to say, you have not won. No, hate is not stronger than love. Violence is not stronger than peace. Barbarism is no stronger than humanity. Cowards, know that you will be defeated. Paraguay is also firmly against the absurd intention to equate the responsibility of the leaders of the terrorist group Hamas with that of the democratically elected government of the State of Israel, and also condemn any action that seeks to deny the legitimate right of Israel to defend itself and repel its aggressors. Legitimate self-defense is no criminal action, as the enemies of the truth assert. Legitimate self-defense is a justified ground for action according to the most basic principle of international law. It is in the most difficult and trying times that we come to know the true value of our friends, of our real brothers and sisters. Everyone is a friend when things go smoothly, when the weather is fair, but we are living truly decisive days. These are not times for the timid. These are not times for the lukewarm. We have to take positions. We have to take a stance. This is the reason why tomorrow we will officially move the Paraguayan embassy in Israel to the eternal capital of Jerusalem. The decision to open our embassy in this great city is not merely the fulfillment of an electoral campaign promise, but a reflection of the deepest values of solidarity and true brotherhood. Precisely when the world seems to once again abandon Israel, forget the Jewish brethren, when everyone seems to be turning their back on this country, Paraguay is here to say, we are with you, our friends. We will not abandon Israel. There is so much true in Elhanan Leib Levinsky's word. Without Jerusalem, the land of Israel is a body without a soul. So I say here today that without an embassy in Jerusalem, diplomatic relations with Israel do not have a real heart, do not have a real soul. With this move, our historic friendship will once again have the palpitating heart. It is also a decision that I sincerely hope will inspire other nations to do the same. Moreover, Paraguay is a profoundly religious and spiritual country, which has always looked to Israel as a brother nation. The faith practiced by Paraguayans derives from that of our older brothers, as the great Pope John Paul II called the Jewish people. Furthermore, the infinite spiritual strength that emanates from this capital has always inspired ordinary Paraguayans. Whether in rural communities or in our bustling cities, in conversation with my fellow countrymen, I have always seen the genuine admiration and solidarity they feel toward Israel. Jerusalem, my friend, is a second capital to most Paraguayans. Let then the whole world know today, loud and clear, that Paraguay is moving its embassy to Jerusalem. This is, for us, the true value of solidarity, to be with your brothers in the most difficult times. However significant, the decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem is only one more link in the rich and profound history of friendship between Israel and Paraguay. This long relationship goes back to at least 1947. In that year, Paraguay was proud to cast one of the decisive votes in favor of the United Nations Resolution 181, which established the modern state of Israel, a land of milk and honey, as Exodus prophesied. From this moment on, our two nations have been united in a true spirit of friendship and brotherhood, which has stood the test of time and ever-changing political, diplomatic, and cultural movement. But you may legitimately ask, why are two countries geographically so far away from each other, that on the surface are so different, that have so diverse history, why they have such a strong and unique bond? And this is, of course, a very legitimate question. However, Despite these superficial differences, I'm convinced that there are a few countries that can understand Israel better than Paraguay. In fact, I believe that there are at least 3 core values that are shared by both countries, and that they help explain the spontaneous feeling of goodwill that Paraguayans have toward the Jewish people. These 3 guiding ideas are, number 1, a profound and deeply rooted religious consciousness that acknowledges the divine will as a guiding force in the destiny of our nations, and emphasize the sacredness of human life. Number 2, the understanding that adversity and sacrifice are intrinsic elements in the history of a nation. And 3, a strong leadership and courage, despite being in a tough neighborhood, coupled with a relentless pursuit of a brighter future. But let me dwell a little bit in these ideas. First, we share with you the profound religious root that so deeply marked the Jewish nation. Paraguay, from its very beginning, has been characterized by a deep sense of spirituality. The Guarani people, native to our land, possess a remarkable religious openness that resonates deeply with the concept of monotheism in the Jewish faith. This, in turn, paved the way for the integration of the Judeo-Christian worldview once the Spaniard conquest began. This openness, in fact, laid the foundation for one of the earliest social experiments of productive cooperation led by the Jesuit missionaries in the 17th centuries. Known as the Jesuit missions or misiones jesuíticas, these efforts combine religious and cultural training to foster community and shared purpose. The misiones were firmly based on the idea of a common life. Of course, this notion has a remarkable similarity to the concept of the kibbutz, and it has a profound influence that developed of rural life in Paraguay. This spirit of faith and cooperation is ingrained in the Paraguayan soul, as in our Israeli brothers. The idea that human life is sacred is also a great legacy of the Jewish people. Every single human being is valuable, and no person can be used as a means to an end. People are an end themselves. There can be no more despicable act in this tradition than taking an innocent human life. This is even more the case when killing is done in the name of that most abhorrent ideology, terrorism. This is why Paraguay has been one of the first countries in the world to designate both Hezbollah and Hamas as international terrorist organizations, and has always deeply censored their wicked actions. I decisively condemn this criminal organization once again today before you all. My country will continue to stand against organizations that deny the value of human life, as this is an integral part of the Paraguayan view of life, which owes so much to the spiritual wealth of the Jewish heritage. Secondly, we also share the great tradition of the Jewish people of understanding the ideals of adversity and sacrifice. Of course, no people on the face of this earth have endured so much persecution, so much violence, so much injustice as the Jewish people. No word, no historical chronicle can fully describe the trials and tribulations that you have suffered. Yet, at the same time, this fight against adversity and the concept of sacrifice embodies so much of the greatness of this nation and of many of its gifts to humanity. Paraguay's path has also seen its shares of hardship, suffering, and resilience. Just as the children of Israel were guided by Moses in the search of the Promised Land, Paraguay too has faced its own particular kind of exodus, of wandering, difficulty, and struggle to survive. Many of you here may not know this, but Paraguay was the most prosperous and developing country in South America in the 19th century, as well as a zealous defender of its independence. This created an homogeneous population with strong social ties and a very unique sense of identity. However, Paraguay, like Israel is today, live in a very rough and complicated vicinity. Our giants and powerful neighbors, Brazil and Argentina, united together with Uruguay to sign a secret treaty, the Triple Alliance Treaty, or of the triple infamy, as the Argentinian jurist Alberdi, censoring his own government, famously called it. Although drafted in euphemistic terms, the real object of this treaty was none other than the total extermination of the Paraguayan people and the elimination of our country from this earth. The Allies together were immensely superior in territory, in military power, in military weapons, and in manpower. Yet, they failed to fully understand the soul of the Paraguayan people, so attached to their nation and the values of adversity and sacrifice. Thus, like the biblical army of Gideon, those heroic Paraguayans defended their nation and territory from the immense invading armies. The chief commander of the Triple Alliance, Bartolomé Mitre, bragged at the beginning of the war that their troops will be in 24 hours in the barracks, in 15 days in the campaign, in 3 months to Asunción. However, the Allies were disappointed, to say the least, when their plan took more than 6 years of brave fighting and resistance by Paraguayans, who managed to save their homeland from complete extermination. In the end, nevertheless, the consequences of the war were truly disastrous for my country. Nearly 90% of the Paraguayan male population was killed. 2/3 of the population were either decimated or made prisoners. We lost 60% of our territory. Our industry and commerce were destroyed, and our development halted for over a century. One Brazilian author, extremely critical of his country's deed, even called the war the South American genocide. Thus, as President of Paraguay, I can look you in the eye and say that the Paraguayan people can understand the adversities, the injustices, the great sacrifices that your people face each day. We know what it's like to live in a neighborhood that wants you to eliminate. But we also know that the values of fighting adversity, of sacrifice, always prevail, and that Israel will stand strong and defeat its enemies. It is the same sense of identity that leads us today to support the State of Israel's legitimate claim to Jerusalem as its capital city, and to defend its territory and people from any invader or external threat. Today, all Paraguayans can say, we understand you, and we are with you, Israel. Thirdly, and relatedly, we share your ideas of strong leadership and courage, despite being in a tough neighborhood, and at the same time, continue to pursuing a brighter future. Our familiarity with adversity has taught Paraguayans to be cautious, understanding that survival demands vigilance and the careful management of risk. Yet, we are also a fierce and brave people, willing to act boldly. We know that only through decisive action can peace and prosperity be achieved. This is why, in this current war, in which commitment to values and principle often falters, Paraguay knows where the truth stands. While the international community may be timid or ambiguous, Paraguay fully embraced the just cause of Israel, not because it is easy, but because it is righteous. This may be a risky or costly position, but believe me, it is the right one. In sum, both Paraguay and Israel may be small nations geographically, but spiritually, they have shown to be giants when facing adversity. Moreover, our two nations understand the transformative power of sacrifice, resilience, and hope. We are friends, in sum, because we share the same values. So I urge you today, dear members of the Knesset, let us explore every possible synergy between our nations. Let us work together on the great guiding principle of the Jewish people, the Tikkun Olam, to continue improving the life of our fellow countrymen. The brilliant Jewish thinker, Hannah Arendt, traced the origin of so much of the violence of modernity to a common root, that most hateful ideology of anti-Semitism. I have to confess here that I have never understood how so many people have adopted this terrible worldview, given that the Jewish people has given so much materially, culturally, and spiritually to the world. And yet, sadly, this evil perversion is still very strong, as you all know. Today, we see with deep concern an increasing anti-Semitism in all of its forms at a global level. This manifests itself not only in violent acts against the Jewish people, but also in a distortion of facts, which seeks to deny Israel's legitimate right to take measures to preserve its own existence. At the height of the anti-Semitism in the 20th century, when the Nazi barbarism seems unstoppable and triumphant, the great Argentinian writer, Jorge Luis Borges, stood upon the anti-Semite to courageously say, "Yo judío, I am Jew." So today, in this great chamber, let me say that to the whole world, that to every act of anti-Semitism, every Paraguayan will respond unequivocally, "Nosotros, judíos." We Paraguayans are Jews. Let me close this remark by thanking you once again for the unique privilege of speaking at this great assembly of the State of Israel. It is an honor that I will carry proudly for the rest of my life, and a token of friendship I will never forget. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. But before leaving you, please tolerate one final reflection. I haven't finished yet. Trying to come to terms with the unspeakable evil of the Holocaust, of the Shoah, the German-born Jewish philosopher Theodor Adorno said that it was impossible to write poetry after Auschwitz. Indeed, it seemed that no words, no literary form, can fully describe the unmanageable cruelty of those deeds. Witnessing the degree of inhumanity achieved by the Nazi barbarism, Adorno seems to have lost any hope in the future. Today, there are still many great challenges faced by the people of Israel. There are extremely trying days ahead, and I understand that these may lead many others to lose hope. And yet, I'm very hopeful for Israel, for its people, and for its future. I'm convinced that Israel will not only endure, but it will also prevail. So let me conclude with perhaps the most beautiful lines of poetry ever written in the same eternal city of Jerusalem, thousands of years ago by the great King David. Lines that I hope and pray will be in the heart of every citizen of Israel during these difficult days, leading this great nation to a brighter future. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me to still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Thank you very so much. Shalom, Israel.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Dejobnik signing off.